So in the previous class, we briefly discussed the sampling theorem. So any band limited continuous time signal can be represented by the samples that are taken at the rate of Fs, okay, where Fs is greater than or equal to 2Fm, and from the knowledge of these samples, we can reconstruct the original signal band. Okay, when Fs is greater than or equal to 2Fm. If Fs is less than 2Fm, aliasing takes place and we cannot reconstruct the original signal back from the knowledge of samples. Okay. So now we see the discrete time signal and the representation of discrete time signal, okay, in different ways. So this can also be simply written as DT signal, okay, discrete time signal. So if you let x of t is a continuous time signal, by sampling this continuous time signal at an equal intervals of time, okay, we can obtain the sampled version of the continuous time signal x of nt. So if you assume this Ts is same, or if you assume the sampling that we perform is uniform sampling, then the spacing between the samples is same. Ts is constant. Then this x of nts is a function of Ts only. Sorry, is a function of n only. Why? Because this n can take values 0, plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2, and so on. Is it? So therefore, can I write this as some x of n, okay, the discrete time signal or discrete time sequence. Okay. An analog signal x of t or a continuous time signal x of t is sampled at the rate of fs, and we obtain x of nts. X of nt is the discrete time signal. Okay. As ts is constant, okay, so this is a function of n only. Therefore, we can write it as x of n. So, why we are using this notation? For the, in order to distinguish the continuous time signal and discrete time signal, we are using two different notations. So it is not the universal notation, okay, but to clearly distinguish the two signals, okay, we are using a somewhat different notation when compared to the continuous time signal. Is it clear to you? So if you let here onwards, we assume this x of n is available to us. Okay, that is this x of n may be available naturally, or that x of n was obtained by sampling the continuous time signal x of t. So normally, if you have a function like this is n, this is x of n. So this is defined as 0, 1, 2, 3, see, n is taking only a discrete set of values. Okay. So that's why it is called the discrete time signal. So when n is not an integer, the discrete time signal is not defined. So the discrete time signal is defined only as integer values of n. So n can take, what is n here? N is the time index. N indicates the time index because we are considering the continuous time signal, sampled it and obtained the discrete time signal. So therefore, the independent variable here represents the time. But this independent variable n takes only discrete set of values. That is the difference. Okay. And it may take -1, -2, -3, and so on. Follow? So here, the strength of the signal can be represented by a small circle and a vertical line drawn at n equivalent to some 0 or n equivalent to 1. Let it be some 1. That is, at n equivalent to 0, x of n equivalent to 1. And At n equivalent to 1, x of n is 2. At n equivalent to 2, x of n is 1 again. And at n equivalent to 3, x of n is some minus 1. And here, it may be 1 by 2, okay. It may be 1.75, okay. It may be some 3. Okay. So we represented a discrete time signal as a function of n. So this is called the graphical representation of the discrete time signal. We have plotted a graph between the independent variable n and the dependent variable x of n. X of n is the signal group. Follow? At n equivalent to 0 it is 1, at n equivalent to 1 it is 2, at n equivalent to 2 it is 1 again, at n equivalent to 3 it is minus 1 and so on. Okay? Is it clear to you? So this type of representation of a discrete time signal is called as the graphical representation. Graphical representation of DT. What about this value here? At n equivalent to 4, if it is not specified, you may consider it as 0. What about 5? It is 0. That is, for remaining values it is 0. At minus 4 also it is 0. Therefore, this is at 4, this is at 5, this is at minus. For remaining all values, it is 0. Therefore, x of n is non-zero from minus 3 to plus 3, and in the remaining interval it is. So this x of n can also be written as x of n is equivalent to 1 at n equivalent to 0, is it? And this equivalent to 2, n equivalent to 1, this equivalent to 1 again at n equivalent to 2, this is minus 1 for n equivalent to 3, and this is 1 by 2 at n equivalent to minus 1, and this is 1.75 at n equivalent to minus 2. See, it is 1.75, it is 1 by 2. What that indicates? The amplitude of the samples can take any value, but the independent variable time n is taking discrete values. That is the difference. So that's why this is also called as continuous amplitude discrete time signal. The amplitude can take any value in the range minus infinity to plus infinity. Maybe 0.5, 0.75, 1.75. And this equivalent to 3 for n equivalent to minus 2 and 0 otherwise. Okay. So here we represented the signal as a plot. Okay. It's the graphical representation. And if you observe this, each sample is represented by a vertical line, and we place a small circle on it. So this representation is also called as lollipop representation. Okay, because each sample is indicated by a lollipop. Okay, so that's why it is the lollipop representation, or is also called as stem plot. And here we represented the discrete time signal as a function, as a mathematical function. That's why this is called the functional representation. See, both are equivalent, both are same. This and this, both are same signal is represented as a function, mathematical function. Because the definition itself, we call it as function. Signal is a function of one or more independent variables. Is it clear? So the same signal can also be represented as this x of n is equivalent to, see, at n equivalent to 0, what is the value? 1. Okay. At n equivalent to 1, 2. At n equivalent to 2, 1. At n equivalent to 3, minus 1. Remaining values are zeros. Okay. And at n equivalent to minus 1, 1 by 2. Here it is 1.75, and the remaining values are zeros. 3. This is, so here this is the origin, is it? At n equivalent to 0, this is, so here this type of representation is called as the sequence representation. Discrete time signal is represented as a sequence of numbers, is it? See, 1, 2, 1, minus 1, 0, and 1 by 2, 1.75, 3. So to indicate the n value, okay, so this arrow indicates the value at n equivalent to 0. So therefore, at n equivalent to 0, magnitude of the sample is 1. At n equivalent to 1, the magnitude of the sample is 2. At n equivalent to 2, it is 1. Like that. So this is called the sequence representation. So therefore, the discrete time signal can be represented as sequence of numbers. So that's why discrete time signal or discrete time sequence are same. So we can also call the discrete time signal as discrete time signal. Why? Because the discrete time signal can be represented as sequence of numbers. Okay. That's why the same discrete time signal can also be called as discrete time signal. Is it clear? So that's why the discrete time signal and the discrete time sequence can be used interchangeably. Is it clear? And there is another way of representing the same signal. Let this as n and this as x of n. Here n equivalent to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, as a minus 1, minus 2, and so on. So when n equivalent to 0, it is 1, this is 2, it's 1, minus 1, 0, and this is 1 by 2, so 1.75, minus 3, it is 3. So this is very clear. So this type of representation is called as, what type of representation is this? First one is the graphical representation. Second one is the functional representation. This is the, you name it. What is this? Tabular representation. The same discrete time signal can be represented in different ways. Okay, all are the valid representations of the discrete time sequence or discrete time sequence. Okay, that signal can be represented as a graph, that is called a graphical representation, can be represented as a mathematical function because the signal itself is a function, okay, and it can be represented as a sequence of numbers. Correct? And you can also represent in a table, okay, the tablet representation. Now you take one example. A discrete time signal is defined as, write down, the discrete time signal is defined as x of n equivalent to 1 by 2 power n for n greater than or equivalent to 0 and 0 for n less than 0. A discrete time signal x of n equivalent to 1 by 2 power n is for n greater than or equal to 0 and 0 for n less than 0. So give the graphical representation of, so what type of representation is this? It is the, what type of representation is this? The functional representation. Signal is represented as a mathematical function. Okay. Functional representation is given. Can you plot the graph? Can you plot it? Plot it. How can you plot? You take, this is n and this is the x of n. 0, 1, so 2, 3, 4, so 5, 6, 7, like that. So when n equivalent to 0, it is 1. So therefore, we draw a vertical line like this. So when n equivalent to 1, it is 1 by 2. This is 1. This will be 1 by 2. This is 1 by 4. Next 1 by 8 and so on. So almost it is decreasing. When n is increasing, the magnitude of the samples decreases. So here it will be 0. For -1, -2, for all these values it is 0. So here this type of signal, so this is not 0, some value goes. So 1 by 16, okay. 1 by 32, 1 by 64, like this. So it is decaying exponential, is it? It will decay exponential. That is, if you join these points, it may look like this. If you join these circles, what that dotted line indicates, blue line, indicates the its continuous time equivalent. Okay. So if you assume this dotted line is the continuous time signal, by sampling it we can obtain the discrete time signal x of. Okay. So we took the samples at 0, 1, 2 and so on. Okay. So the spacing between the samples is same. Is it clear? Of course here it is not becoming 0. See, the red line and this dotted line are not, they are not meeting. Okay. But it will, it is very close to the 0 axis, okay, because the magnitude is decreasing and when n is increasing. Here in this case, this x of n is 0 for n less than 0. is it? And x of n is non-zero for n greater than 0. So that type of sequence is called as a right-sided sequence. So this is an example of a right-sided sequence. So in general, how can you define the right-sided sequence? See, if x of n is equivalent to 0 for some n less than some m. X of n equivalent to 0 for n less than m and is not equivalent to 0 for n greater than or equivalent to m. Then that is the left of n equivalent to m, the function values are 0. Okay. For the right of n equivalent to m, the function values are non-zero. That type of sequence is called as a right-sided sequence. Okay. And one more thing here, what is the duration of this sequence? See, n is taking values from n greater than or equivalent to 0. Okay. So this particular function is non-zero from 0 to infinity. So this type of sequence is also called as infinite duration sequence. Is it? What is the duration of it? It's infinite duration. So therefore, it is infinite duration right-sided sequence. Is it clear? What about this one? This signal? Is it right-sided? So this type of signal is called as a two-sided signal. Okay. This type of signal is an example of a two-sided signal. Why? Because it has the values for n less than 0 and for n greater than 0. So this type of signal is called as a two-sided signal. Why we are calling it as two-sided? It is neither left-sided nor right-sided. It is two-sided. Now can you say what will be the left-sided sequence? Like for example, if x of n equivalent to some 1 for n less than 0 and 0 for n greater than or equivalent to 0. Okay. It will be a left-sided sequence. That is, x of n is 0 for n greater than m and is non-zero for n less than m. The reverse of it. So that will be the left-sided sequence. The duration is infinite, it will be a left-sided infinite duration sequence. And if the sequence is non-zero from minus infinity to plus infinity, and if it is two-sided, then that type of signal is called as a two-sided infinite duration sequence. See, the sequence may be one-sided, that is the sequence may be right-sided, left-sided, or it may be two-sided. In the case of left-sided or right-sided, it may be of infinite duration or of finite duration. Similarly, in the case of two-sided also, the sequence may be finite duration or of infinite duration. If you consider the previous signal, see, from minus 3 to plus 3, x of n is 0, x of n is non-zero. Okay. For remaining values, it is 0. So this is a finite duration sequence and it is a two-sided sequence. Okay. Follow this. Then how can you give the sequence representation for it? See, this x of n can be represented as a sequence. Okay. It is 1 by 2, so 1 by 4, 1 by 8, 1 by 16 and so on. So if you put the dots like that, that indicates it is of infinite duration. And how you indicate the origin? You draw a arrow just like this. Okay. That arrow indicates that is the value at n equivalent to 0. At n equivalent to 0 it is 1 by 2. At n equivalent 1 by 1 it is 1 by 4. Right. No, sorry. Here 1, 1 by 2. Okay. So this is the value at n equivalent to 0. Is it right? So this is the sequence representation of the right-sided sequence, which is of infinite duration. So if you consider this, x of n is equivalent to some 1 by 4 power n minus 1 for n less than 0 and 0 for n greater than or equal to 0. So what type of signal is this? Left sided. What will be the duration? Infinite duration. So it is an example of a left sided sequence and its duration is infinite. So what about this? X of n is equivalent to 1 by 2 power n for n greater than or equal to 0 and this is again 1 by 2 power n for n less than 0. What type of sequence is this? This is the two-sided sequence and the duration is infinite. So you try to plot this, how it will look like. So that this is n, this is x of n. So 0, 1, 2, 3, this is 4, 5, 6, so minus 1, minus 2, yes. These keep points add out cube. If you add out you can write, not less than last, second bench, last. Where it opens? So when n equivalent to 0 it is 1, is it? So this is 1. When n equivalent to 1 it is 1 by 2. This is 1 by 2. Next 1 by 4. Next 1 by 8. Like this. Okay. Okay. It will continue. And this side, when n equivalent to -1, how much you will get? 2. So somewhere here. So it will go. Okay. It's 2. And n equivalent to -2, 4. So it will increase exponentially. It will go like this. You draw it. Is it clear? So you can observe these plots clearly. If you use the MATLAB, I will show these. Okay. You just don't bother about the MATLAB. Okay. I will show the plots. Okay. How these plots look like clearly. Okay. Because we could not able to draw due to the space that is not available. So, so here I am taking the n value from -10 to +10. What is that? X equivalent to, first I consider this 1 by 2, 1 by 2 power n. Is it? We don't bother about all these commands. Okay. That one. Okay. Is it clear? How much you are taking? Yeah, actually, it is taking the values from -10. See this. N is taking values from -10 to +10. Okay. So the first value is when n equivalent to, see, when n equivalent to 0, how much you got? So 1 by 2 power n. Which would be 0 to 10. Okay. See, when n equivalent to 0, this is 1. When n equivalent to 1, it will be 1 by 2, and so on. Okay. So it is almost decaying. Okay. Is it? Similarly, you can take, for example, if n equivalent to, this is one more example. Okay. So this is when n equivalent to 0 it is 1, when n equivalent to 1 it is 1, that is it is 1 for all. Okay. When n equivalent to 0 to 10, its magnitude is, the sample magnitudes are 1. Okay. Is it clear, please? So now we see the discrete time sinusoidal sequence. Okay, we consider some fundamental uh, signals, okay, or the basic signals. First, we concentrate on a sinusoid. Okay. So if you let x of t is equivalent to sine 2 pi f naught t. Okay. So this is an analog signal. Okay, with fundamental period t naught is equivalent to 1 by f naught. Okay, or otherwise omega naught equivalent to 2 pi by t naught. The fundamental period of the sinusoid. Okay. So if you sample this at an equivalent to subtime, how can we obtain the discrete time equivalent? Simply replace t with t equivalent to n into ts. Okay. So therefore this is sine 2 pi f naught into n ts. Okay. So this can also be written as sine 2 pi into f naught divided by fs into n. Is it right? Why? Because ts can be written as 1 by f. So this is the discrete time equivalent, or this is the discretized version of XOR. Is it? This is called we considered an analog sinusoid and sample that at an equivalent to subtime Ts. Okay. So what should be the Fs here? Fs should be greater than or equivalent to 2Fn. What is the highest frequency that present in this sinusoid? What is the frequency of this sinusoid? It is f naught. 2 pi f naught. Okay. What is the highest frequency that present here? F naught. Therefore, we have to sample the signal in such a way that the sampling rate is greater than or equivalent to 2f. Then only we can recover the original signal from the samples. Is it clear to you? And the same signal x of n can also be written as sine. What is that? 2 pi f naught into nts. Is it? This can be written as sine omega naught into nts. This can also be written as sine omega into n, where this capital omega is equivalent to small omega naught into ts. So this small omega naught into ts is called as the digital frequency. What is small omega naught? Here small omega naught is the analog radian frequency, is it? The analog frequency or angular frequency, is it? Small omega naught is the angular frequency, and this capital omega naught, you write it as omega naught because We are using small omega naught and capital omega naught. Capital omega naught is called as the digital frequency, which is equivalent to analog frequency multiplied with T. See, what is the unit of analog frequency? Analog frequency is in radian per second. Okay. Now, whatever the digital frequency, it is in radian. See, radian per second into second. Second get cancelled. The units of digital frequency is radian. That is the difference. Okay. Analog frequency and the digital frequency. Omega naught, you already know. Omega naught equal to 2 pi by T naught. The T naught is the fundamental period, is it? So 2 pi by T naught is the omega naught. Omega naught is called as the angular frequency or analog frequency. And omega naught into sampling interval Ts is the capital omega naught. Capital omega naught is called as the digital frequency, whose units are radian, not the radian per second. Is it clear to you? So we will continue the next.